I trust, health." The Lord of Gilsland measured the Scot with incredulous eyes, and replied, "Thou art no leech, I think, Sir Scot. I had as soon thought of your bringing the King of England wealth." Sir Kenneth, though displeased with the manner of the baron's reply, answered calmly, "Health to Richard is glory, and wealth to Christendom. But my time presses. I pray you, may I see the King?" "Surely not, fair sir," said the baron, "until your errand be told more distinctly. The sick chambers of princes open not to all who inquire, like a northern hostelry." "My lord," said Kenneth, "the cross which I wear in common with yourself, and the importance of what I have to tell, must, for the present, cause me to pass over a bearing which else I were unapt to endure. In plain language, then, I bring with me a Moorish physician, who undertakes to work a cure on King Richard." "A Moorish physician!" said De Vaux; "and who will warrant that he brings not poisons instead of remedies?" "His own life, my lord his head, which he offers as a guarantee." "I have known many a resolute ruffian," said De Vaux, "who valued his own life as little as it deserved, and would troop to the gallows as merrily as if the hangman were his partner in a dance." "But thus it is, my lord," replied the Scot. "Saladin, to whom none will deny the credit of a generous and valiant enemy, hath sent this leech hither, with an honourable retinue and guard, befitting the high estimation in which El Hakim, the physician, is held by the Soldan, and with fruits and refreshments for the King's private chamber, and such message as may pass betwixt honourable enemies, praying him to be recovered of his fever, that he may be the fitter to receive a visit from the Soldan, with his naked scimitar in his hand, and 100,000 cavaliers at his back. Will it please you, who are of the King's secret council, to cause these camels to be discharged of their burdens, and some order taken as to the reception of the learned physician?" "Wonderful!" said De Vaux, as speaking to himself. "And who will vouch for the honour of Saladin, in a case when bad faith would rid him at once of his most powerful adversary?" "I myself," replied Sir Kenneth, "will be his guarantee, with honour, life, and fortune." "Strange!" again ejaculated De Vaux. "The North vouches for the South, the Scot for the Turk. May I crave of you, Sir Knight, how you became concerned in this affair?" "I have been absent on a pilgrimage, in the course of which," replied Sir Kenneth, "I had a message to discharge towards the holy hermit of Engaddi." "May I not be entrusted with it, Sir Kenneth, and with the answer of the holy man?" "It may not be, my lord," answered the Scot. "I am of the secret council of England," said the Englishman haughtily. "To which land I owe no allegiance," said Kenneth, "though I have voluntarily followed in this war the personal fortunes of England's sovereign. I was dispatched by the general council of the kings, princes, and supreme leaders of the army of the Blessed Cross, and to them only I render my errand." "Ha! sayest thou?" said the proud Baron de Vaux. "But no, messenger of the kings and princes as thou mayest be, no leech shall approach the sick bed of Richard of England without the consent of him of Gilsland, and they will come on evil errand who dare to intrude themselves against it." He was turning loftily away, when the Scot, placing himself closer and more opposite to him, asked in a calm voice, yet not without expressing his share of pride, whether the Lord of Gilsland esteemed him a gentleman and a good knight. "All Scots are ennobled by their birthright," answered Thomas de Vaux, something ironically, but sensible of his own injustice, and perceiving that Kenneth's colour rose, he added, "For a good knight it were sin to doubt you, in one at least who has seen you well and bravely discharge your devoir." "Well, then," said the Scottish knight, satisfied with the frankness of the last admission, "and let me swear to you, Thomas of Gilsland, that, as I am a true Scottish man, which I hold a privilege equal to my ancient gentry, and as sure as I am a belted knight, and come hither to acquire LOS and fame in this mortal life, and forgiveness of my sin in that which is to come, so truly, and by the blessed cross which I wear, do I protest unto you that I desire but the safety of Richard Coeur de Lion in recommending the ministry of this Moslem physician. (LOS. Laus, praise, or renown.) The Englishman was struck with the solemnity of the obtestation, and answered with more cordiality than he had yet exhibited. "Tell me, Sir Knight of the Leopard, granting, which I do not doubt, that thou art thyself satisfied in this matter, shall I do well, in a land where the art of poisoning is as general as that of cooking, to bring this unknown physician to practise with his drugs on a health so valuable to Christendom?" "My lord," replied the Scot, "thus only can I reply, that my squire, the only one of my retinue whom war and disease had left in attendance on me, has been of late suffering dangerously under this same fever, which, in valiant King Richard, has disabled the principal limb of our holy enterprise. This leech, this El Hakim, hath ministered remedies to him not 2 hours since, and already he hath fallen into a refreshing sleep. That he can cure the disorder, which has proved so fatal, I nothing doubt. That he hath the purpose to do it is, I think, warranted by his mission from the royal Soldan, who is true hearted and loyal, so far as a blinded infidel may be called so, and for his eventual success, the certainty of reward in case of succeeding, and punishment in case of voluntary failure, may be a sufficient guarantee." The Englishman listened with downcast looks, as one who doubted, yet was not unwilling to receive conviction. At length he looked up and said, "May I see your sick squire, fair sir?" The Scottish knight hesitated and coloured, yet answered at last, "Willingly, my Lord of Gilsland; but you must remember, when you see my poor quarter, that the nobles and knights of Scotland feed not so high, sleep not so soft, and care not for the magnificence of lodgment which is proper to their southern neighbours. I am poorly lodged, my Lord of Gilsland," he added, with a haughty emphasis on the word, while, with some unwillingness, he led the way to his temporary place of abode. Whatever were the prejudices of De Vaux against the nation of his new acquaintance, and though we undertake not to deny that some of these were excited by its proverbial poverty, he had too much nobleness of disposition to enjoy the mortification of a brave individual thus compelled to make known wants which his pride would gladly have concealed. "Shame to the soldier of the Cross," he said, "who thinks worldly splendour or a luxurious accommodation when pressing forward to the conquest of the Holy City. Fare as hard as we may, we shall yet be better than the host of martyrs and of saints, who, having trod these scenes before us, now hold golden lamps and evergreen palms." This was the most metaphorical speech which Thomas of Gilsland was ever known to utter, the rather, perhaps, as will sometimes happen, that it did not entirely express his own sentiments, being somewhat a lover of good cheer and splendid accommodation. By this time they reached the place of which the camp where the Knight of the Leopard had assumed his abode. Appearances here did indeed promise no breach of the laws of mortification, to which the Crusaders, according to the opinion expressed by him of Gilsland, ought to subject themselves. A space of ground, large enough to accommodate perhaps 30 tents, according to the Crusaders' rules of castrametation, was partly vacant, because in ostentation the knight had demanded ground to the extent of his original retinue, partly occupied by a few miserable huts, hastily constructed of boughs and covered with palm leaves. These habitations seemed entirely deserted, and several of them were ruinous. The central hut, which represented the pavilion of the leader, was distinguished by a shallow-tailed pennon, placed on the point of a spear, from which its long folds dropped motionless to the ground, as if sickening under the scorching rays of the Asian sun.